What is up, homies? We're going to be casting a 3 versus 3 today, so you can tell I'm going to be very excited. I'm also excited because this is going to be a 3 versus 3 on a map that I made very recently. And while it's not the most prettiest of states right now, I do think that it's going to lead to some fun games as people learn it and figure it out, and also that people play more 3v3s in general. So wanted to add more maps so that people could play more games. That's usually how it works. If you got a rich map pool, then people will play the modes more often. Let's introduce our players here, and of course I'll try to be somewhat speedy with this. We've got Kasuga here in the mid-left here at the 9 o'clock position. He is going to be our either neon blue or something else. Is this Maya blue? I'm going to say neon blue. Oh, but it's Palatinate blue Protoss. Okay, all good, all good. Then down here we have Grass Eater as the... It's not Coyote Brown. It's a little bit of a brighter tone than that. I don't know. No idea. Is it, shit, what's that color? That chestnut? No, it's sienna. I haven't seen that color in a hot minute. All right, the sienna Zerg. And then down here we have the Mad Lad. Also, you note on our Discord server is Trevor, but it seems like he's going for the Mad Lad right now. Is he glacial or... Yeah, it's glacial, right? The glacial Terran in the bottom left. That's the makeup of our team down there. Up here in the top, we have SmrtyCakes as the Maya Blue Protoss. We've got Tudor as the... Ooh, this is a tough color. Maybe this is the chestnut color. It could also be like a mahogany or something. I want to say chestnut, but it's burnt umber Zerg. And over here, we have Noiturne as the black Zerg. So at the end of the day, I got 50% color guess. Those are some tough guesses. SmrtyCakes opening Lattice and Warden. Kind of seems to me like he wants a mobile force so that he can try to defend his allies if need be, and then he has the Warden to kind of fall back to. Tudor going a little bit greedy with the fast Eskagant. I haven't seen this kind of build before, so when this gets scouted by Grass Eater, this should kind of be like, okay, we can target this player, considering this is the rough situation there. So we do have Kasuga going Lattice into Rogue Gallery. The first unit that he's going to make is a Vassal. That's going to mostly be for scouting, but also it could be annoying, maybe force out some static defense or whatever. We've got the Mad Lad out here with his third Stockade, making a lot of bio. Makes sense, makes sense. Might see an early move out from him. And Grass Eater with a whole bunch of larvae that he's not using right now. So must be very studiously typing in allied chat what's happening. Noiturne going for double Larvask into Pool. Oh, this is kind of interesting, right? Because the Pool coming for Tudor, and he's going to have to put down, obviously, some kind of static defense, right? The Riddler Rokors are going to be here to chase off the Grass Eater Droleth. That's no worries there. Oh, he might actually end up losing it if he's not careful. And you do want to be able to sort of, pull it back at some point. There's the static defense there. The Riddler Rokors are going to just end up dying. Not going to be able to catch it there. Have to go off Kagra to kill it. The Idols are arriving for Tudor, so the Vassal will not be able to do too much there. Yeah, look at that. It's not even going to be able to escape. Now, the Kabbalist has already left the building, interestingly, for Kasuga. I was going to say, what's he going to make out of that? Second Rogue Gallery and a Gateway, so it looks like Kasuga's going to have a pretty meaty follow-up here. The Idols are kind of dancing back and forth. Tudor looking to expand, but he's got no minerals. And now the stim out already for the Mad Lad. Oh, boy. All right, well, Noiturne's 100% losing that. But the Idols come down to try to help out. And, if these aren't stimmed, the Idols can absolutely get some good damage dealt. Oh, this Droleth could have actually gotten a kill there. So the stim comes in, but that makes a lot of these Mavericks very brittle compared to the, especially with the Idols. Good drill there, losing 2 workers so far. One here and one after the Kagrant, the Larvask was killed. So that does set Noiturne back a little bit. But, oh, well, I mean, this is another attack. The Idols are still here. And we even have Noiturne with his Quas out. So it doesn't really feel like this is too bad. Smarty is going to lose one of his Idols. Oh, both of his Idols. That is very unfortunate. And the Kabbalist already has 2 kills to its name and going to start to fall away. I think Noiturne shot his own Droleth there like, hey, buddy, you're done. You're toast. Oh, he's got an attack move, though. He's not actually attacking it. There we go. Okay, he figured it out. So where does that leave us right now? We got a couple of more Grass Eater Zetracors moving in. His Droleth still burrowed over here. Tudor's Hacharosk almost complete, about 75%, and Smarty has an okay force right there. So doesn't have to worry too much about his own round. Noiturne's got to get his Droleths in action, and there's 8 stimmed Mavericks coming in to see if they can do more worker harassment, but where are the Quasilisks? They were not scrambled fast enough. That's going to be 3 dead workers very fast. 4 dead workers, actually, very fast. Some of them are going to get attack and other things, but this looks like it will eventually be cleaned up. Actually, he doesn't have that many forces. Don't worry, Tudor's here to try his best to keep things going, and one more worker will end up going down, but that is a wrap. So, yeah, 5 dead workers after the first 4 between the Kabbalists and the first round of Mavericks. Yeah, Noiturne is getting picked on a little bit. I think in this kind of situation, Tudor even saying, hey, leave Noiturne alone, would be a good opportunity for them to try to hold this ramp together. since this side disruptor burns down, I guess it's probably going to burn down pretty soon. It burns down around 5 minutes. So, but earlier than this, you know, but maybe between the first attack and the second attack, stationing some units over there would have been a good move. And when you scout that Kabbalists are here, it's always a good idea. Oh, that one's actually going to get sniped. Really good play there from Noiturne to get those, you know, early, you know, vision there. And Tudor is actually might be able to see this. No, it's going to slip behind undetected. There is a Circuit over here, double Circuit actually, which will limit the effectiveness of the Kabbalist a little bit. But still, you can get a lot of value out of that. Noiturne is going to have to pull back his. He's going to have to pull it back. Yeah, okay. Not actually going to get the second kill there. Or I guess the third kill. The Mavericks have pushed through. They're going after Tudor right now. There's a newly modeled simulacrum, courtesy of Delta Catamus. It's going to get sniped down immediately. Tudor's got a third base, but not really great saturation, and actually his forces are also out of position. They were both chasing the Kabbalist. You don't want to overcommit your forces here, and now Tudor really needs to pull his forces back. He's been greeting super hard with an Iral Iris right after with barely any combat units. He could end up losing his whole main base. He loses all the production from the Larvosk, and of course the static defense. The Eskagant going to go down as well. Meanwhile, Kasuga out here killing his third base. What does our SmrtyCakes want to do? He's not been pressured at all, so he's built a pretty strong ground force, but he needs to be able to do something here. Stimming after that Hatch Rocket is going to be the full kill on that. And now Kasuga falls away. Doesn't finish off the Hatteros. Gets routed by the Quasilisks of Noiturne. There's a single Maverick over here killing workers. That needs to be dealt with post-haste for Tudor, who's now in a worse position than Noiturne is. That's very bad. Smarty has a second base over here. He's even got some static defense. A lot of idle scribes. Definitely needs to control his position here. Feeling a little bit worse for wear. Let's see. Kasuga now falling all the way back. SmrtyCakes kind of tailing him with a single idle. We've got 24 Mavericks on the way. No Storm, no crowd control here for Smarty as he takes a third base. Crucible. Okay, now his Cantavis are up, but they need to actually get to the front line where all the Mavericks are going to come in. Otherwise, we could end up seeing a lot of casualties. Still, I mean, the Atriuses are going to help out over here, but they will eventually be overwhelmed. You can see Smarty recognizing that he wants to wait out the storm, or wait out the stim, rather. Wants to get his storm down here. He's not sending any units down. He's going to try to hold with just the Atriuses. The Mavericks have been thinned out quite a bit, though, so this is actually working out pretty well. The idol doesn't even fall, so nice work there to stop that. That looked much scarier than we thought it would. This Monument of Sin causing pathing problems for Grass Eater. He's going to think about maybe killing that to get rid of it. Well, it looked like maybe that's what he was thinking of. Gonna have to take his forces off. Now, we haven't really looked at the western base yet, but it does look like Kasuga has a Matrix and an Engram finishing up there for his natural. Not great saturation on it just yet, but it's getting there. It's getting there. Meanwhile, we do have Grass Eater taking the lower base and the natural for him. The Mad Lad has taken an expansion, is taking a third base. So good development overall. Tier 2 is coming for Noiturne. It has completed for Tudor, but no actuation on it just yet, as they're just trying to rebuild their respective economies. SmrtyCakes kind of has to basically tell them exactly where to, you know, he's got to set the pace here. He's got to be the one who, you know, has his forces in the right spot. And he's mostly concerned about his own defenses, right? But as of right now, we are going to see, I think, what could end up being a really big, very impactful push here from both Grass Eater and Kasuga syncing up. The Mavericks are not that far away. That Hatteros, not okay. It was canceled by Noiturne. Good play there as they end up falling back to Tudor's third base. Where is Smarty? He's just putting down static defense over here, but his forces are still idle. He needs to come to the aid of his allies, especially since they've elected to go for this risky tech position. I wouldn't have necessarily advised that. The Hydra's coming in from Grass Eater to snipe the one Larvosk that was still going. There's another one down here that's likely to go down, and the Iral Iris taking a lot of hits. Meanwhile, Tudor is being held at an arm's length by the bio of the Mad Lad, and look at this, they're targeting the Iral Iris. Smarty only now coming down to finish off the job on those bio units. It's not fast enough. The Iral is sniped. A rare moment where if you actually built it in your natural, maybe it would have been saved. Neblime, eat your heart out. Oh, man, right now, this is not looking too good for our Eastern team. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It looks like Noiturne just got absolutely steamrolled. He still has a saturated base in his natural, but this is the natural point where Kasuga will start to fall back to try to withdraw from this position. And look at this. Even though we've got some static defense here, it's not going to be enough. Smarty needs to finish the job there while his Amaranths try to hold Grass out at an arm's length. Remember, there could also still be a counter push, another attack somewhere. Smarty is starting to go for an Argosy. He's got a Solarian on the way. But the Mad Lad's already at tier 2, adding a captaincy. Grass Eater getting his own tier 2 meanwhile, and a lot of gateways coming online for Kasuga. Great Psy Storm to help clear this position, as a couple of Rillarrow cores that were made by Tudor are going to help clear this out. That's just the Vagrants left. They will be dealt with. But what a massacre for Noiturne's worker count. Grass Eater has the most workers in the lobby, and when he finishes his tier 2, which is now, he will almost certainly, with his considerable bank, be dropping a Mutaflock, right? Where's the Mutat Spire? He actually goes Alcag. Interesting. I thought for sure he would go Mutat Spire. 33 more workers. He might be hitting the sauce a little bit too much when it comes to the greed, right? If you don't actuate your position, you don't use your tech, you don't use your resources on something that's actually going to further your spot in the current match, that could be a problem. But he does have this base in the bottom left to saturate, so that's where all the workers will be going. So they will have an immediate use case. It's not like he's oversaturating his bases, so it's not as bad as maybe I initially predicted it would be. Kasuga taking a look at his allies' position. The Mad Lad adding a 4th base with still no saturation on his 3rd yet, so definitely wants to work on that. Kasuga is taking this base, which does have a neutral wellbore you can harvest from. Nobody yet taking where I would imagine Kasuga's natural, alternative natural would be, or maybe Grass Eater's alternative 3rd. But instead, Grass has taken the sort of back bases, the safer bases. Now, coming back in to see if he can pounce on Noiturne's position, a lot of stimmed Mavericks are going to be descending upon him. I'm kind of flabbergasted about how Noiturne and Tudor both just kind of doubled down on their greed despite being repeatedly attacked. Like, if they decided to go for a military hold to try to see if they could stand tall in this position, they wouldn't be in a bad spot. They would be able to stabilize a lot sooner. You know, like 5 minutes ago, the subsequent attacks would not have just continued to double down and punch them. But instead, they just keep going. For the, oh man, look at the Hurricanes wreaking havoc on the drones, the Droleths. It's over for these harvesters, it feels like. The pool going down, the den going down. I think Noiturne might just be out of the game at this point, right? And nobody is really coming to his aid either, which is the worst part. He does have this base down here. I guess he can try to slowly rebuild. We've got Kagralisks coming out for Grass Eater. We do have a bunch of them available for Tudor as well. So I don't think he's liable to end up getting killed by the Mad Lad's tier 1 bio army. They're very, very adept at getting rid of, like, Hydralisks, Hurricanes. Mavericks, they're going to overkill a little bit, but it's not going to be the end of the world. And now, obviously, the Kagra v Kagra fight really just depends on who's got more and who's got the defender's position. A bunch of Izira cores coming in for Frontliner. The couple bio units that are still here. Unfortunately for Noiturne, I don't think he's going to be able to secure himself that Hydrith den. He doesn't really have any combat units he can send up there right now, it doesn't look like. Slowly rebuilding from very humble beginnings, if you will. As the Kagralisks come out for Grass Eater, what has SmrtyCakes been able to do? He set up a Phalanx over here. Looks like some slight harassment from the Unars that have been made by Kasuga. We haven't really taken a look at either of our Protoss players too much in this game. SmrtyCakes has a single Atreus killing a pylon in the middle of nowhere. And, you know, Smarty has the double base over here, right? Or it's a single base, but it's split between potentially 2 players. He's got an Uptecton. We saw the Ancestral Archives coming from actually both Protoss players now. I think there's already one up, yep. So we're going to see 3 Unitaries, 2 Ancestrals, all powered by a Crucible. That's a scary sight for the future. Noiturne's final base has been discovered. The Kagralisks are not bad versus Solarians, by the way. They're kind of going after the Stewards, which I guess is fine. Yeah, at this point, I'm not seeing how Smarty is going to be able to pull out of this position. He's losing his capital air while he's just trying to saturate and cap his resources and stuff for his 4th and 5th bases. And now he's going to have to deal with an Uptecton and a whole boatload of other forces ranging down. He's got the Bulwark to restore shields. He's got triple engram, you know, he's got some static defense. No Matrix, unfortunately, would have helped out a little bit versus the Zealots there. But, like, the Zealot, the Golems, and the Ecclesiasts all make those Zealots, like, way tankier than they would be otherwise. And now, with Smarty trying his best to hold the front gate, we're kind of in a dire position here. His Uptecton might get overwhelmed by the Izira cores. No, it will narrowly stay alive, but he's lost his entire 6th base here, or his 5th base, I think, right? Yeah. He's lost his 5th base. That Solarian will be focused down by the Unars that are standing in Storm to make it happen. It's a little bit rough. I mean, the Uptecton is doing its best as well. But where are the other forces? It looks like they were all down there, trying to hold the choke. Storm at this point is just helping the Golems. They are so good versus the unavoidable splash damage like Storm and Uptecton AoE, as well as Engrams. You saw how good they were there as well. So it doesn't really look like you know, Smarty will be able to riposte this attack with ease. His Atreus's will bring down the Golem at long last, but he has no counter artillery. His Solarian was sniped, so he can't even use that versus the Unars and the Tecton. And now a big force of Mad Lad's bio are going to be pushing in to this position here where Tudor's third base is at. It looks like to me like Tudor is actually taking Noiturne's main base while this is happening. And it may be, okay, Smarty has routed this force, but we've got tier 3 coming for Tudor, of all people. A bold choice. The Tecton trying to range down as many of the bio units as it can. Yeah, not great use of the Shaman so far. The Avigralisks are just doing their best to be a frontline force. A scourge of the bio, but it's not going to be quite enough. And the Tecton will fall with something like 60 kills. I can't believe it. Smarty pushing in over here, but he's about to get overwhelmed by Kagralisks or Eustaleths. And, of course, the Tectons and the Unars. He's been routed and riposted. GG is called. Okay, so that's basically a wrap. I mean, I think Tudor and Noiturne had a lot of responsibility that they did a little bit. They shirked it, you know? Like, it has to be said, they could have played that a bit more on the defensive side, a little bit more on the, like, they could have been playing a little bit safer. They are newer to the game, so I'm not going to say, like, oh, they really let SmrtyCakes down there, but since they were both being Zerg, and they were also both being greedy, like, I know Zerg is, like, synonymous with greed for a lot of people, but you can play it a bit more aggressively. Maybe there needed to be a little bit more coordination there, because we saw Grass Eater didn't really add that much militarily speaking. He had some early Zethar cores. They did end up being a bit effective in some of those very, very early skirmishes. And then, of course, he added some Hydras to the mix and stuff, but, like, he didn't go all in on the attack. He was not as aggressive as a Zerg could be in that situation. He was also greeting. And so I think, like, we kind of had Kasuga with a bit of a cheesy, aggressive opening. We had the Mad Lad with just a very straightforward bio push. You combine those two with the greed of grass, you know, the modulated greed of grass. It could have been a pretty balanced sort of strategic distribution where Smarty is going the, maybe not cheesy, but definitely like can fight early, brawly type of combo into kind of a greed into, you know, Argosies for Solarians and such, right? And if Tudor was greeting and Noiturne was being aggressive, or you flip that and say Tudor's the aggressive one or the brawly one, you know, to keep up with SmrtyCakes in the early game so that he could actually riposte attacks, and Noiturne is the greedy one. Either way, if they're not both greeting, I think that is a very different look. And yeah, sure, Smarty also could have maybe helped lock down the incoming push, but on that map does have like basically one ramp for the back player where SmrtyCakes was, as well as where the Mad Lad was. There's one ramp that leads into their base, and then there's one ramp that leads into the shared base of the other two players on each team. And so obviously Smarty was worried that he was going to get attacked himself, and so it makes sense, especially since he didn't take his natural as his natural. He took the back base first. At least I believe that's how it worked. So he didn't have natural map control anyway. I could just talk all day about what was going on there. I guess that's what happens when you're looking at a 3v3. There's so many other things going on compared to a 1v1. I could talk about decision-making and team choices and strategery. But I hope you guys enjoyed the cast. I certainly liked looking at it. Obviously, it was my map, so I can be a little bit balanced. It's also my game. I can definitely be balanced. Biased, rather. You know, the game's balanced. The caster's biased. That's the way it goes. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back tomorrow for more action. And, of course, for our tournament, very, very excited to bring you that. The March Invitational begins Saturday and ends Sunday. And I'm sure we'll have a couple of other odds and ends here thrown in as well. So stay tuned for that. See you guys very soon. GG's. Peace.